Sometimes you get to the end of a transaction and you feel like, I don't want to go through this. It could be either the buyer or the seller. And many times that's going to cost not only just bad feelings with each other, it's going to cost some people some money. Usually we hear this happening on the buyer side. And so the buyer is the one that's going to be on the dime. And many times they have an earnest money deposit on the table. When a buyer wants to get out of the contract, they think, well, I'll just lose my earnest money deposit. Well, in Virginia, that's pretty expensive, actually, the whole DC market. Earnest money deposit in our area is anywhere from 1 to 3%. So if you have an average price house of $800,000, you could be losing upwards to $15,000 just to back up. Also, you do have damages you may be causing for the seller: storage, moving costs, hotels, anything that they spend at your direction to sell the house to you, including prepaids they made to all the title company and other vendors such as that. Also, you may have caused them to lose marketability and or value now that you've taken time for them to be off the market. If the market is shrinking, now that you've reached the time of year when houses are not flying off the shelf. It's the end of summer. It's the beginning of fall. Everyone's going back to school. They're not buying houses. So there's the loss of marketability as well that they may go after you for, besides just your earnest money deposit. For sellers, sellers can also default. It's rare, but they can. And if you do, you need to take into account what the buyer's options are. They just don't say, oh, okay, no problem, walk away. They could sue you for performance. And if they sue you for performance, not only do you have to sell the house to them if you lose, but now you've got to pay legal fees, both yours and the buyer's, to get across the line. They could also sue you for actual damages, much like what the buyer would have to pay up for moving, storage, transaction cost. And for buyers, they've done home inspections. They've got an appraisal. They may have title costs that they have to absorb because they were getting ready to go to closing. And then you have a domino effect backwards. So maybe they had a house on the market and now they can't sell it. They have to put it back on the market and deal with the contract issues there that could be costing them money. So you want to get out of a contract. At that point, you need to talk with an attorney, because now you've entered a legal minefield instead of just a real estate transaction. Thanks so much for coming by, watching this. Share this on your social media, because it's very important in today's market that people know what's going to happen to them if they decide to default.